Okay, welcome back again to some everlasting summer action. Continuing onwards with finding some stuff for a cake. So there you go, fun times. Okay, so basically, yeah, we were, for some bizarre reason, we're going to the library to find flour there, which, yeah. Yes, exactly, it makes no fucking sense, but what the hell, let's roll with it. I'm sure something groovy is going to happen there, so what the hell. I thought hard on who and why would want it in the library, but couldn't find any sane explanation after all. Indeed, given Xenia's harsh nature, I'd better knock first. Now to hell with that. Anyway, open. Open sesame. Xenia have... Really? Anyway, that's not written properly. Xenia peered at me closely from under her glasses. What do you want? Don't think anything wrong, but I didn't want to look like an idiot and decided to explain things carefully. I need some flour. Olga Dmitrievna said that it's here. I understand that it sounds strange to keep the flour in the library, but I'll send to you, and it's needed for the cake to celebrate Shrek's rescue. Huzzah. Yes, I have the flour, and what's so strange about it? Really? She sees nothing strange about it? Xenia replied with surprise. Yes. At that second, I felt myself like I got a hit with a heavy weight in my head and lost the ability to understand anything at all. Yes, I know the feeling. Flower in the library. Sure, what's so strange about it? We're in Wonderland. I'm Alice, and now I'm gonna eat that magic mushroom and I'll be back home. Actually, is that how that works? Anyway, hey. Yeah. I was daydreaming. Bastard, what the hell are you doing? Anyway. Wait here, I'll be right back. She disappeared behind the bookshelves while I crisscrossed my hands and started waiting. The sound of a trapdoor groaning on its hinges reached me in a moment. Hey, you need some help? I inquired loudly. I'll deal with it. Xenia backed out to me. She seems to be in the basement, so I'll have to wait a little. Okay, so there's like a little cellar with flour, I guess, and other stuff. Interesting. Okie dokie. A few minutes passed, but Xenia still hasn't returned, probably gobbled up by some underground monster. But anyway, I was starting to get worried as the door suddenly has flung open and Alyssa came into the library. Of course, she looked surprised too, seeing me here. What are you doing here? Got that expression. Am I not allowed to be here? I said rudely to her. Jesus, that fucking translation. Alyssa was clearly overwhelmed a bit, and so am I by that music. Why do I care? Why do I care? She snorted off and headed to Xenia's table. And why are you here then? Lisa measured me with her eyes carefully and almost opened her mouth to say something, but then seemed to change her mind and turned away, hiding her hands behind her back. Returning a book? I blurted the first thing from the top of my head. It's none of your business, she replied with a tint of perhaps that's meant to be a hint of hesitation. What book is it? Alyssa was silent. Oh, come on, let me see it. I wonder what does Miss High Voltage Keep Away reads. Yes. It's none of your business. Her voice was even less confident. Okay, don't insist on anything. In fact, I was quite interested to find out what Alyssa was reading. Moreover, I was quite amused to see a book in her hands. My god, that little bookworm, eh? TV, movies, or a computer. It would be available here. All these things seem to be much more appropriate entertainment for a girl like her. Yeah, the things you could do on computers back then, eh? But she had a book instead. So, try to snatch the book or stay on guard. Yeah, I think we'll snatch the book, fuck it. My curiosity won. I struck the right moment. That's sort of what it's supposed to say, but anyway. I picked the right moment when Alyssa was looking away from me and snatched the book. Ouch. She screamed. In the following second, her face got such an expression that made me question my decision. Fuck it, was a great decision. If I'm about to die, at least I'll know what for. Precisely. I held a copy of Gone with the Wind in my hands. Okay, so there's a couple of fans here. That was the same book that Lena was reading that evening on a bench. I was so astonished that I've suddenly forgotten about my imminent death. Is it interesting? Yeah. Blushed Alyssa, answered without any enthusiasm. Okay then. I handed the book back to her. She threw it on the table and left the library quickly without looking at me. Oh well, too bad. So nothing human is alien to her. Okay. She's a girl too in the end. After a quick review of everything that just happened, I concluded there was nothing strange actually. Finally, a deep groan of Xenia rang out, reaching each and every corner of the library. God, this translation is just getting better and better, isn't it? Grab it. I've passed by the bookshelves and beheld the perspiring librarian sitting in the trapdoor leading into the basement and a small sack next to her. Well, they might have some sort of a storehouse down there. Exactly, I preempted that myself as well. Anyway, thanks. I took the sack and got out of the library. And no other things from here, it seems. Thank goodness it wasn't too heavy, so I've carried it down to Olga Dmitrievna's cabin without too much effort. Thank goodness. Indeed. Anyway, let's fuck it, go to the infirmary. Save probably the best for last. Or it might be the worst, I don't know. Anyway, I feel like I visited the infirmary too often recently. What can I do? That's how things pan out. Sighed and knocked on the door. Come in. No said it with a trace of singing accent. Okay. Good afternoon. Olga Dmitrievna has sent me to get some... I hesitated slightly. Yeast. Ah, sure. She gave me a broad smile. It's just that I don't have any. Pioneer. How so? She said that. Well, I had some, but now there's nothing left. Damn. Some counter-revolutionaries got into it. But anyway, I didn't even bother asking why she had them in the first place. Well, don't you worry. You can have some aspirin, for example. It could be of some use for me, actually. Where do I get it, then? I sighed. Take this. She opened the drawer and pulled out some kind of a bottle. Okay, Ostankinsko was a well-known brand of cheap beer in the USSR. Okay. I took a closer look. It was Ostankinsko beer. What's the matter? The beer's also a fermentation product. She gave me a deep gaze. Nobody will even notice. I think people are going to notice. She had a point, but everything just looked so grotesque to me that I couldn't find anything to say. Are you sure? Absolutely. Okay then. Bottle clearly didn't fit into the shorts pockets. Well, thanks. I mumbled shyly, leaving the infirmary. Very naughty carrying beer around. But anyway, well, beer certainly could replace yeast, although I don't think that's how it works with cakes, but whatever. Even my limited knowledge of chemistry and biology was enough to accept this. But generally, walking around with this bottle in my hands looked like a silly idea to me, so I decided to bring it to Olga Dmitrievna's cabin and hide it there. But I had to reach it somehow without anyone noticing the beer. I hid the bottle under my shirt. And what do you know? And everything could be fine, but I was caught by Slavia at the square. Of course it'd be intercepted. Actually, she sprang out from behind me so suddenly that I even gave a start. Damn it, that music. How's it going? What exactly? You'll search for ingredients. Ah, so you know already. Yes, I do. Slavia smiles. It's going alright. I've answered, trying not to give away my unrest. What do you have there? She pointed at the bottle sticking out from under the shirt. Ah, this. She got me. Oh no. Ah, it's nothing. I blushed with a silly giggle. Jesus. Just share the beer with her or something. But anyway, honestly I don't really drink it myself. I prefer more vodka. But, there you go. Anyway, I blushed with a silly giggle. It's time to go. I was almost running, leaving the square with a puzzled Slavia behind. It's great that she was one of those people who won't ask unnecessary questions. But there are people in this camp who like nothing better than poking their nose into other people's business. Let me guess, Uliana. Passing Pioneer's cabins, I've stumbled upon Uliana. Well, there you go. This is the first time I've actually played this game, so keep that in mind. But anyway, what are you hiding there? She gave me one of her cocky looks. I thought there was no point in denying anything, so I replied in a provoking manner. It's none of your business. I'm a cipher officer carrying a message to the headquarters. We've got a big message. was carrying a bottle at waist height, so I was slightly embarrassed. You might want some help. Ah, dude, I'll deal with it on my own. Walked past her confidently and proceeded my way. To my surprise, she didn't say anything nor tried to pursue me. Queer. There was nobody at Olga Dmitrievna's cabin, so I managed to stuff the bottle under my bed successfully. Gotta hope that music disappears. Thank God. Once I got outside, I sighed with... once I got outside, I sighed with relief. Same there. Really, I couldn't believe that I would ever worry that much about a single bottle of beer. Like I got back into a high school. It's a good thing that it's all safe now. Even if somebody will find it, I'll claim it's not mine. I can always think up of a suitable excuse for my enormous experience. Well, for God's sake, in this case, I think just telling the truth might actually work, because really, I mean, the nurse should back up his story, for God's sake. But anyway, well, there you have it. What wackiness are we going to get at the clubhouse, I wonder? Let's have a look. Felt like I've gone through more things today than in all previous days combined. Thus, coming closer to the clubhouse, I've even forgotten to think about how awkward it must be to look for sugar there. Now I'm sure they're using that for cybernetics or something. What the? Okay. Shurik with electronic were building something enthusiastically. They were so busy they didn't even notice me. I looked closely. Some kind of a robot. Or at least the body of it. Also, this robot was a female and had ears. I didn't want to make up theories about purposes of such a device for luminaries of camp cybernetics. Actually, it's pretty advanced given that this is meant to be for Soviet times. But anyway, even though the design looks practically workable, I had my doubts about this robot to ever conquer Earth, or at least to be able to do anything on its own. But they seem to be enjoying the process more than the end result itself. It was something we shared, even though I didn't want to admit it. On the other hand, they weren't afraid of possible failure, criticism, or jokes. They were working towards the goal without paying attention to others who could call it unrealistic or even absurd. Oh, it looks like I'm truly comparing them to some luminaries of sciences. Hey guys, agree to them uncertainly? Oh, Semyon, come in. Always glad to see you. Hell is up with his glasses. Anyway, I actually was in already. You know? Sorry for what happened yesterday. I barely remember anything. Oh yeah, sure he doesn't. Full of shit. But anyway, well, never mind, it's okay. And what led you to the humble abode of ours? Electronic looked at me slyly. Sometimes I felt like he makes such a face when he surely knows something about the other person, something he can use in a right moment. Sugar. I need sugar. An image from an ancient video game suddenly came into my mind where some kind of unit, like a builder or something, cried out loud from all its 5-pixel stature, "Gold, we need more gold." 5-pixel stature, gold, we need more gold. Warhammer? No. It's, I don't know. Warcraft maybe? I just don't know. Anyway. We got it, said Electronic calmly. Why would you want it? Why the hell do you even have it in the first place? I felt that I shouldn't explain to Shurik that they want to bake a cake for him. I shouldn't spoil a surprise. I don't know. Olga Dmitrievna told me to get some. Okay, hang on. Electronic disappeared behind the door into the next room. And why do you have sugar here? Why not in the canteen? When a food truck came last time, it was the last thing to unload. Given that our buildings is the closest one to the entrance, they decided to leave it here to save some effort. It's reasonable, isn't it? Why didn't they move it afterwards, for fuck's sake? Anyway, the door has opened, revealing Electronic holding a huge bag behind him. Changing tenses there, but anyway, I really didn't know what would be the size of the cake, but there was obviously too much sugar. Well, thanks, but I don't need it all. Where could we place it? Electronic gave me a surprised look. We don't have a place for it. Yeah, fuck it, just carry the whole fucking sack, really. You asked for sugar, so take it. It seems that previous smile of his wasn't there without a reason. Maybe you'll help me then. It's not that far to carry. We are busy. Of course they are. He pointed his hand at the robot. I gazed at Shurik. He owed me in the end. He halted and then looked away in shame. Yep, he remembered. I sighed, took the bag and headed to the door. Thanks anyway. said I at parting, exerting myself. Indeed. I did manage it too far. Just after a mere 20 metres, I had to put the bag down to have a rest. Well, according to this angle, I don't think we've actually reached 20 metres, but anyway. I had no idea how much it weighed, but it felt more than 20 kilos. On one hand, it was just 200 metres to the canteen. On the other hand, even such a distance of this payload on my shoulder, or eventually in my hands, or on my legs, or under my arm, or even on my head, looked impossible for me to cover. As I've set myself to move in minor sprints with prolonged pauses between them, so I could get there by night at least, I've heard a voice behind me. Maybe I could help you. I saw Lena in front of me. I don't think you can. It was one of those moments when I've painfully felt my traumatic lack of good shape. I can bring a handcart. Oh, why not? A handcart, how quaint. Why haven't I thought about it myself? Yes, that would be great. Wait here, I'll be right back. Interesting music. She smiled and ran in the direction of the square. And what could I do without her? It's good that Lena isn't always that shy and can take the initiative sometimes. I started to think. She seemed quite unusual now, with no trace of shyness on her face, and actually the complete opposite, a smile and confidence. The offer of help wasn't something extraordinary by itself, but getting it from Lena. A few minutes later, she came back with a smallish handcart. Put a bag down, or it should be I put the bag down on it. Thanks. Don't mention it. She blushed and looked down. Oh, Lena, we all know is back. So I'll go then. And away she goes. Yes, see you. And thank you again, I shouted after her. Sometimes I've felt like there are two different persons living inside of Lena. But the second one, confident, happy, and sometimes even bold, appears just when she talks to me. Or am I making it up again? Maybe she's got multiple personality disorder, eh? But anyway, I thought that it would be better if I get all the ingredients at once, so I headed to Olga Dmitrievna's cabin with the hand. I headed to Olga Dmitrievna's cabin with the handcart. There you go. Finally, it seems that everything was collected. Got the handcart of sugar outside, put the sack of flour in it, followed by 2 baskets of strawberries that somehow fit in between. Beer was hidden under the shirt just in case. The day was coming to its end, so I had to hurry as the cake itself needs some time to be baked. Of course, I'd rather enjoy lying down, closing my eyes and getting a decent sleep, but I just couldn't let Olga Dmitrievna down. Indeed, after all the troubles, I even felt my personal responsibility for the success of this event. Now, whatever. It's a cake, for God's sake. Well, I guess it should be a good one. But anyway, coming to the square, I stopped for a moment to take a breath. It wasn't the cart that was heavy. It ran smoothly without any noticeable efforts required. Just any physical load caused pain to me now. Both physical and a moral one. Oh, there we go. I sat down on the bench and closed my eyes for a moment. What's that? I wasn't really giving a damn on who is it. Probably just a fellow pioneer girl who got interested in an unfamiliar companion in distress. What are you talking about? I asked her tiredly. She didn't reply. That's the ingredients for a cake. Do you like cakes? I don't know. Maybe the cake is a lie. Aha! I think I might have solved the story. But anyway. What, you've never tried any cakes? I knew. Obviously the girl couldn't get what I was talking about, but it didn't surprise me at that moment. I really wasn't interested in that conversation. I was so tired, I had zero intention to classify all outer distractions and tag them either as conventional or uncommon. I see. Come down the canteen later and take a bite. Really? Really? And what are they made of? What? I asked with indifference. These. Cakes. Well, some flour, sugar, various fillings. Now that's a queer question. Doesn't she know what the cakes are made of? Did you have it all here? Yes, sort of. And sugar? And sugar. Could you lend me a little? The hell is it? Really? Anyway, what for? I thought it was over the top. Yes. Yeah, and nobody there. A sudden gust of wind made me grab the cart instinctively and open my eyes. However, nobody was here. Am I daydreaming? Noticed though that the sugar sack was untied and a small heap of it had poured out. Fucking clumsy bastard. Kappa, eh? What is this thing about Kappa? people mention sometimes. Got a kappa around here. Well, anyway, welcome, Commie Jesus, indeed. Anyway, so yeah, notice sugar tackles and sugar cycles and tie, small heap had poured out, so continue onwards. It could be that she was scared by the wind and ran away. Having the sack fixed, I got up from the bench and continued my challenging strawberry way. There wasn't a single person near the canteen. No wonder, the dinner was still an hour away. I brought the handcart to the rear exit and handed the foodstuffs to the camp cook. She must have been told already what to do with them, as she gave me such an unpleasant look. Not sure how long it takes to bake a cake, but she had to hurry, it seems. I just wanted to relax during the remaining time up to the dinner. Something tells me we're going to help make, we're going to help make the cake as well. But anyway, because why not? In short, I was so tired that I sat on the footsteps, just waiting. There we go. My eyes have closed themselves. I guess I got so tired throughout the day that I didn't even notice how someone came and patted me on the shoulder. Hi. Mika was standing before me. Yeah. I didn't need a mirror to imagine an expression of skepticism and annoyance on my face. Oh, excuse me, I must have interrupted you. No problem, I was just sitting here. Alright then. Mika shined with a smile. I was just coming to dinner, I thought that it's time already, and then it appeared to me that it's too early. But I've decided to check just in case. Maybe it's not me who's mistaken, but the clock is. Interesting way of putting it. Well, not the clock. Clocks can't be mistaken. It's just that I've misread it. Indeed. She seemed to be ultimately confused now, and thus went silent. It's still about half an hour before the dinner. Speaking of which, I think this scrunch is like hovering around her hair rather than actually holding it in place. But anyway, it's still about half an hour before the dinner. Oh, that's great. Then I'll sit here and wait with you if you don't mind. Frankly speaking, I would mind. Yeah, whatever. You know, I have some matters to attend to. Yeah, like sitting on my ass. Have you got any questions? Oh, okay. Oh, thanks. That's commie. Yes. Ah, okay. Multi-switching. There you go, that's multitasking for you. Huh. Okay then. Yeah, that might help a bit actually. Alrighty, let's see. Oh, yes. You know I have some matters to attend to. Stood up quickly and left without saying goodbye, and ignoring Miku, as always did, while she was screaming something after me. It's pretty rude, but anyway. A minute later I got to the square and sat on the bench with a firm intention to find a quiet and safe place here to wait for dinner. I think it was the first time since the last 4.5 days when I felt myself like that. I wasn't just irritated because of some fucking tongue-tied. I wasn't just irritated because of some insignificant details, but indeed I was really angry. I've completely stopped to care where I am and why I'm here. Didn't care about how to get out either. What was driving me mad is that I always had to carry out some stupid tasks given by a camp leader, and it was always me who gets into stupid situations and sometimes even ends up being a clown. That's all part of the fun, eh? If all of this is some alien tricks or plot of the universal mind, they better consult with their psychiatrist. I gritted my teeth and clenched my fists. The most annoying thing is that everything that happens seems to happen by itself somehow. Yeah, it's like as if they were all moving independently, eh? But anyway, I'd be happy not to carry bags of sugar weighing a good pound, but I had no choice at all. I mean, any other option would lead to much worse consequences than a muscle strain or a hurt pride. Who are you angry with? Liana was standing in front of me and smiled slyly. Looks a bit more excited, a bit less sly, but whatever. Nobody really. I answered absently, but my fists gave me away. Fists of fury, just like that. Okay, it's up to you. Better tell me, why did you run around the camp for the whole day with some kind of bags? Some kinds of bags, Jesus. I had to. Replied reluctantly. I guess it was food. Maybe it was. And I was about to say something, but at that moment the bell sound came, calling the pioneers for the dinner. I sighed in relief and quickly headed to the canteen, leaving Uliana behind. Semyon, thank you very much. For what? Camp leader gave me a friendly smile. Well, obviously for the fucking ingredients. Jesus. Anyway, for the cake, of course. Ah, sure. It was that exact moment I understood the true meaning of an idiom. Keep your hands to feed your cat. Okay. You haven't told anybody? This ought to be a surprise. Yeah, that's my boy. Now off you go to the dinner. To the dinner. Right. Anyway, Olga Dmitrievna waved her hand, pointing at the canteen. I stepped over the doorway slowly, over it, okay, and started to look for a free place. Turned out there are plenty today, so I got a chance to eat all alone. There was a fish with mashed potatoes for dinner. What a misfortune once again, I'll end up half hungry. And didn't we have fish for lunch? Is it a fish-only day today? Or maybe he might get a different sort of fish later on. But anyway. Having pushed a plate with fried sea dweller away, I laid my head on my hands and closed my eyes. Soon somebody came to my table. It seems pretty inevitable, actually. Hey, you alright? I'm fine. I replied without changing my position. Just tired. Yeah, a little. That's bad. She said it seriously. Of course. You remember that we were going to the hike after the dinner, don't you? Have you prepared everything? Really? I don't remember that. Yeah, well, whatever. It's all good. What? Where? I opened my eyes and lifted my head up instantly. Lena was standing by Slavia. The hike. She was surprised. Didn't you know? No. There you go. Apparently we weren't supposed to know until now. I put my... Really? Anyway, I put my head down on the table and covered it with my hands. If only I could sink into the ground right away. The girls remained silent. I stayed alone with my thoughts for some time, and that was fine to me. Maybe I could sit that way until the end of dinner time, but a strong voice of Olga Dmitrievna was heard from the opposite part of the canteen. Should be the opposite side of the canteen, but anyway. Guys, to celebrate a miracle rescue of our friend and comrade Shurik, we baked this cake for you all. I lifted my head idly and looked towards the camp leader, but couldn't see anything behind the pioneers' backs. Just a second. Nothing about me. Nothing about me rescuing Shurik or gathering ingredients for the cake. God, it just wants all the glory, doesn't it? Indeed. As if that's how it ought to be. Well, it would be wrong to expect anything else from our camp leader. Let's go. Or we won't get our share. Slavia smiled. Let's go. And I agreed. Yeah, sure. That's the spirit. I got up with reluctance and tagged behind the girls. As we approached the pioneer crowd, Olga Dmitrievna was just putting the cake on the table center. And now... Great music, alright. The camp leader wasn't able to finish as Ulyana rushed up from the pioneer crowd and dived into the cake. She managed to nibble it a few times before she was pulled away. What a pig. But anyway. She was kicking and screaming. I stared blankly from the outside at all this drama, smiling at Issa, Lena that picked up some cream with her finger, all the furious, mixing pioneers and furious there, but anyway, all the furious pioneers around. I felt completely out of this place. I thought that if I close my eyes now and open them again, here I am back to the safety of my apartment, in front of a computer. Nope, same thing. I blinked, but nothing's changed, only the noise and the clutter became sharper. Ulyana, that's the limit. I just... Well, in fact, behaving like this is a bit over the top even for her. Shurik has broken in the conversation, or the court-martial. Please, Olga Dmitrievna, hence the cake is celebrating... Really, hence... Anyway, the cake is celebrating me, it's no big deal. He hesitated. It doesn't matter. Camp leader turned to Ulyana. And you. Today I'm going to prosecute you to the fullest extent. So you'll behave next time. Ah, whatever. She snorted and turned back. You won't be going for a hike with us tonight. As if I wanted to. I was more than willing to switch places with Ulyana and skip the hike instead of her, but who knew? If I would have guessed beforehand, I'd be the first one to go berserk and smash down that damn cake. a couple of minutes of confusion, Pioneer started to dismiss. You have to get ready too. There'll be for fuck's sake, there'll be a line-up at the square in half an hour. I looked straight into the eyes of the camp leader, trying to express my attitude in a non-verbal way, but it seemed that I failed. Or maybe she didn't give a damn. Don't be late. Liana was sitting at the table when I approached her on my way to the exits. So why did you do it? She looked very upset. But she had a right to be so. I wanted to. Liana replied abruptly. So you're happy now? Of course I am. And you have a good luck hiking. Just jumping out of the way there. She smiled mischievously, springed up and rushed out of the canteen. Wait a minute, no, she smiled mischievously. Yeah, springed up and rushed out of the canteen. Again, the bizarre sentence construction. Well, a little bit of luck won't hurt. Walk and you shall reach was exactly this proverb that kept twirling in my head all the way down to the camp leader's cabin. Somehow I just couldn't manage to pose, to pretend that I'm sick or just to skip it without a reason. Events this day taught me submission, really. But sometimes whatever was happening made no sense to me, indeed. As I walked in, I've taken a fort. I've taken a fort, really? Well, in fact, how should I get ready? Clothes. I only have an overcoat and a pair of jeans. There you go, just fine. Anyway, I've forgotten to ask whether it's going to be an overnight hike or not. Going to be a death march, maybe. Couldn't think of anything better. I grabbed a sweater that I had on me when I arrived in the camp. The nights might be fairly chilly, and shuffled off to the square slowly. No need to hurry. Well, the camp was already there, although it was about 10 minutes up to the time designated by Olga Dmitrievna. Snuggled near the edge and waited patiently. Night was falling. If we were to be looked at from the outside, what a fairly comical picture it would be. Crowded pioneers lined up out of sheer habit, like waiting for it was like waiting for a silence command from a bronze Gender. Jeez. Hang on, no, not sheer habit. It was like waiting for a silent command from a bronze Gender. God damn it, the fucking translation. And all this happening in the scarlet rays of the sunset. It's like out of a Soviet poster or anything. And there he is waving his hand and screaming attack as roaring soldiers with red neckerchiefs converge into the battle against some ghost enemy. But Olga Dmitrievna has shown up and started to talk instead of Genda. Seems everybody is here. Great. I was so tired today that I couldn't even think about anything, so that I'm just listening to the camp leader. Now today we're going hiking. Essential for every pioneer to be able to come and rescue his comrade, to offer a helping hand in an hour of need, just saving him in the hopeless situation. We'll have to learn to do all these things together. Whisper that ran through the pioneer crowd suggested that most probably this truly epic expedition would end in a clearing in the forest, several hundred feet away from the square. Somehow I thought so too. We'll walk in pairs. So if you haven't chosen a partner for yourself yet, it's the right time to do so. Pioneers quickly caught the idea and started to match pairs. It looked like I was the only one without a pair, of course. Slavia was enthusiastically discussing something with Olga Dmitrievna. Lena was with Miku, electronic of course, with Shurik. Well, it might not be a bad idea. It might not be a bad idea to go alone after all. Semyon, voice of the camp leader, pulled me out of my thoughts. Came up to her with reluctance. I see that you haven't found a pair. Seems like it. Then you'll join Xenia. She's alone too. I was struck with that special kind of despair that only a true loner can experience. So it appears that I'm same castaway as the Yeti librarian that I won't risk spending a couple of hours with even if I was paid for it. Bit of a harsh assessment. Although we seem to be in the same boat now. Slowly approached Xenia. Well, I guess we'll be going together. She looked up at me. Don't you even think that I'm glad? Said Xenia seriously. Why on earth should you feel glad? I asked naively. Never mind. It would be much better if you just shut up. Or make me. Anyway, it couldn't get better than this. She turned her back on me and followed the other pioneers. I haven't seen any hidden reason yet to walk in pairs. Well, obviously, in case you get ambushed. But anyway, we were walking on the trodden forest trails, and it was quite difficult to get lost here, even if I'd wanted to. Moreover, while we were already hiking for half an hour, we went rushing into the depths of the forest, trying to face all the dangers that could test our courage and harden our pioneer spirits. Instead, we were just walking around in circles. However, if we'll take into account that Olga Dimitrievna was our chief, this hike could be compared to a hobbit's march from the Shire to Mordor. Just as Xenia insisted, I was following her at a distance in silence. The librarian seemed to be perfectly okay with it. Hey, don't you know when we'll reach our destination? Our what? The place where we'll settle down and set up a camp. The whole idea of this hike is not setting up a camp, but the hiking itself. You don't get it. Yeah, it seemed that I didn't understand a thing about hikes. I guess you're right, but still. I don't know. She replied sharply and hastened her pace. I caught up with her and asked, "Listen, why are you always so bitchy?" Alright, we'll see what he has to say. I was about to say mean, but stopped short. Well, I wouldn't have used that word, but what the hell? I haven't done anything bad to you, and I'm not going to. She glared at me in surprise. Always so, what? Well, unsociable, kind of. Or is it something about me? I cut that stupidity already. It's a massive lens she's sporting now. Very nice. As you wish. Decided not to start a conversation with her until the end of the hike. Very picturesque. At last, Olga Dmitrievna decided to end this Sisyphean toil. It's time for a halt. The place chosen turned out to be quite a large glade, with a few trunks laid in a half circle to make an improvised arbor, with burnt ground and remains of a campfire in the middle. Obviously, such hikes is a tradition of this camp. Or are a tradition of this camp, whatever. It's all good. Anyway, I was sent to gather firewood together with the other boys. It didn't take a lot of time because there were a lot of branches and trunks of various sizes around. How convenient. In the end, Olga Dmitrievna Really? Anyway, in the end, Olga Dmitrievna lit up the fire using some old newspapers. I was eager to know what was written there, but I couldn't discern anything about Soviet symbolics. Pioneers took their places on the trunks and started to talk about their things. Seems that the final goal of this event was achieved. Only things missing were a pot of fish soup, aluminium cups of vodka, and a guitar. I suppose the last two don't sound too bad, but anyway. But I wouldn't be surprised if all this would appear here somehow. What are you thinking about? Slavia sat next to me. Oh, nothing special, especially with that music. Just enjoying the hike, I answered sarcastically. You don't look too happy. Well, I'm not really rejoicing or jumping, sorry about that. Okay, I won't disturb you. She was sitting with me for a while, but after realizing that I wasn't in the mood of talking, left me to enjoy my introspection all alone. And all I wished for was to lie down in bed and fall asleep as soon as possible, but I was being filled with smoke and useless chatter of pioneers around me instead. They were cheering and laughing and were enjoying this warm summer evening in general. At the far side of the glade, I noticed Lena was arguing with Alyssa intensively, and Lena seemed like a complete opposite to me. Slavia has left somewhere after our conversation, it seems. Electronic and Shurik were trying to prove something to Olga Dmitrievna furiously. Looks like I'm the only one who doesn't belong to this place. Nothing. Yeah, fuck nothing. Let's investigate, shall we? Try to find out about Alyssa and Lena arguing. Only Lena and Alyssa stood out from all this splendor. But of course it was quite natural for Alyssa to be arguing with someone like that. But hearing Lena talk in a raised voice, I came closer silently, trying to understand what is going on. No, you listen to me. Really. Think whatever you want, I've said everything. It looks serious, like totally. I tried as hard as I could to not attract any attention, and look like I'm just standing there with no intention of listening to them. There's nothing to think about, everything is as clear as day. Do not try to wind me around your little finger like that, I know you too well. Why, of course you know everything, that's... Oh, wait, no. Why, of course you know everything. Then why won't you tell him yourself? Conspiracy, that's what's happening. Lena was getting angry. That alone was really weird, even considering me not knowing the point of their arguments. It's none of your business. Lisa snorted, turned around, and met eyes with me. A second later, Lena gave me a look as well. Girls were standing there in confusion for some time. You're eavesdropping? Misspelt as well. Me? Oh, no. Just like passing by. Put on the best smile I had, but it didn't seem to help much. By the way, today he was peeping at me. Oh, great, there we go. At least I gave a malicious smile. Then I looked at me questioningly. First of all, why would she believe in this fox's tale? I didn't peep. Quite well, there was an accident. Ilyana should be the one to blame. Sure it was. Tell that to the Marines. It seems like my excuse was not working. Did you like my boobs? Really? Shivers went through my spine. Is that true? Lena looked at me imploringly. God, those expressions. Well, you see, it was an accident. I haven't seen anything there. You haven't? Well, I can repeat. Elisa cried in anger. I didn't know what to say. You see, I told you. No. Then I started to mumble and rushed away a moment later. Yeah, indeed. Wait, what happened? I shouted after her. You see what you did? The girl is frustrated now. She gave out a spiteful smile. First of all, it wasn't me who frustrated her. Second, I don't have any idea what you two were arguing about. I was running out of patience. Why should I tell you? It seems like she thought that our talk was over and was about to leave. I gripped her hand abruptly. Lisa glanced at me in fear but didn't say anything. I was angry at that moment. Really angry. First, I was wildly enraged that Lena was upset because of me, even though I was guilty by implication. Second, I was enraged by Elisa's insolence. Third, I was so tired that I could have got out of myself because of any... Third, I was so tired that I could have got out of myself because of any trifle. Okay. Happy now? I used to pointing in the darkness where Lena ran off to. You only seem to have guts to explode the memorials and offend innocent girls. She looked frightened, saddened and confused at the same time. She herself could offend anyone. You just don't know her. The only truth here is I don't know her too well, but I'm absolutely positive that she can't offend anyone. That's your job. We stood in silence for some time. A drama. I held Alyssa's hand and didn't know what to do next. The solution dawned upon me all by itself. You shall go and apologize. Why the heck would I? Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting thing to say, given that he doesn't even know... I mean, we don't really know what the hell they were really arguing about, but anyway. Why the heck would I? Although there's a couple of clues, but anyway. So yeah, why the heck would I? Elisa tried to act as puffed up as always, but it just wasn't going to work. As I said so. I refused to take any objections and dragged it to the side of the bonfire. Olga Dmitrievna, I'm sorry, I have some urgent business to do. Olga Dmitrievna, I'm sorry, we have some urgent business to do, so we have to leave early. The counsellor tried to object. Oh, she's a counsellor now, is she? But didn't listen and headed for Lena, holding Elisa with me. Some time after, I released her hand. Objections? Well, the pride and arrogance has left Elisa's face a long time ago. If you want me to come with you, I will, but I have nothing to apologise for. I told her the truth. Now she's just shuddering there or something. Maybe there's an earthquake. We'll see it then. I cut her short. We've been walking in silence until we entered the camp. We came to the square and asked Elisa, where do we go next? How do I know? And who said that knows Lena well? I did. What? And who said that knows Lena well? I did. Okay. Elisa hesitated. Well, she could be at the island. She often goes there when she wants to be alone. Excellent. We headed to the boat station. Really? Really? All of this just for a bloody apology. Anyway, the night came down upon the camp while I was searching for paddles and pottering with ropes. One boat was actually missing. Okay, today's your lucky day to do several killer exercises for building up your biceps, triceps, and other arm muscles. I said sarcastically. Are you serious? Lisa cast a fearful glance at me. Well, perhaps that was a little too rough, even for her. Alright, I won't make you row, of course. It hardly sounded confident. Swinging the paddles appeared to be much harder this time, probably because we're meant to be tight as hell. Well, that's not a surprise, considering today I must have used up my annual rowing quota. I stopped in the middle of the river to get some breath. The camp was covered by night. Trivial and ordinary night. It was one of those nights when the dark sky stars and the crescent moon don't make you feel anything special, and cheering crickets and twittering birds sound like they are doing a dull routine job, rather than performing an otherwise exciting nocturne. I was staring into the darkness, trying to make out the shaded islands. How did you get to know her? Lisa shivered a little. We grew up together. What do you know, it's a small world. Or a small union, as it were. A Soviet Union. Anyway, she answered slowly after some hesitation, and ended up in the same pioneer camp. What a fabulous coincidence. All these questions, mysteries and fears that were so well hidden, so far suddenly spawned in my head. Damn, I could just throw her out of the boat and drown her here right now. Or rather, drown her right here and now. I can demand answers, although it could be dangerous unless I'm sure that I know what I'm doing. Still, I thought that this time I was playing with white pieces, and thus I could make the first move and not only parry the blows of the opponents. So what kind of camp is it? Lisa stared at me blankly. Where are we? Why am I here? She kept silent. Answer me. I shouted. Hey, what's wrong with you? If you want me to apologize to Lena, I will. That's where I realized how stupid I acted, to say the least. She could simply be uninvolved in all that stuff. And what's more, one can't lie that plausibly. Lisa's fearful glance was yet another reason to believe her. Sorry, that was all I was able to say at the moment. Yet I wanted to keep my advantage. Last meters were really tough. Exhausted, I got out of the boat and lay on the cold ground. Lisa was standing nearby, staring at me. But she's about to jibe, or utter some barbed wit. Yet since she remained silent, I assumed she was still shocked or something. Even though it was rather dark here, it would be easier to hide in an old flat than at this tiny island. Furthermore, Lena must have already heard us as we were crossing the river, so by now it's already too late to ask Alyssa any more questions, even though I had some. Listen. I looked at her but saw nothing. That was a dark night, I didn't have cat's eyes. Well, when we find Lena, you're gonna tell her you never wanted to hurt her feelings, and everything that happened in the morning was nothing but a misunderstanding, okay? Voice sounded not that confident as it did a couple of minutes ago, yet confident enough. Although Alyssa said nothing, it was clear by the look on her face that she agreed. I stood up and we were off to find Lena. Really? Anyway, her boat was tied to a snag at the far side of the island. That's very clever of her. One will not see the boat from afar. I mumbled. Well, that means she's somewhere in the trees. Let's find her. Search and destroy. Well, maybe not the last bit. But anyway, I headed to the grove, yet Alyssa stood still. What's up? I thought we've discussed everything already. It's not the case. It's just that it's dark in there. I had to narrow my lids to make out her face. The grove is smaller than my grandmother's daisy garden. What is there to be afraid of? Lisa didn't answer. If you care to know what I'm thinking, I would just gladly leave you here and never know what trick you are up to. Well, she came very close to me. Let's go like that. She took my hand. Oh, wasn't expecting such an outcome. My cheeks turned red and hot, my breath was taken away, and I could barely say anything. The whole situation didn't favour a conversation. It's probably for the best, since I doubt I'd be able to say anything smart. Yeah, I think might have a point there maybe, but anyway. Slowly we headed to the groove. In a couple of minutes I regained some control of myself. Come on, there is really nothing to be afraid of. We've been here during the day, gathering some strawberries, no big deal, just a usual birch grove. Or is it? It's really nice here during the day, I added after a short pause. Alessa didn't look at me, she was staring somewhere into the distance. Well, it's up to you after all. In several minutes she pointed somewhere in front of us. There she is. I peered into the darkness, but I could barely see anything. Yeah, there you go. When we came closer, we saw Lena sitting beside a tree. She was crying. I'll be damned. Why have you come here? She asked weepingly. And you? She looked at Elisa but didn't finish the phrase. At that moment, Elisa released my hand. Well, you see, I simply wanted to apologise for being somewhat harsh and rude. Elisa interrupted me. Wait a minute, I wonder if this was actually part of a plan. Probably. Anyway. Her voice has regained that usual arrogance of hers. Maybe it's because she didn't want to look weak in front of Lena. What a perfect apology. Not walking the talk, eh? How clever of you to insist that I'm doing a bad thing and then do the same thing yourself. Lena switched to shouting uncontrollably. You got it all wrong. And I got what I've seen. Now you see, girls, you are arguing again and I seem to be somehow involved in all that, yet I can't understand a thing. Because apparently I'm a dumbass. That's probably what Semyon also would have said as well, if he was speaking his mind there. But anyway. Explain it to him. And I said to Alyssa with a grin. There's nothing to explain. Maybe you will let me have a try then. Whatever. She crossed her arms on her chest and turned away. Well then, Semyon. She blamed me for running after you. For a minute there was a complete silence. Then I didn't look like making more explanations, and as for me, I stood still trying to make scattered pieces of the puzzle become a whole. What do you mean? Just what I said. It's not like that, that's not what I meant. Interrupted Alyssa. Of course. I've always been like this. Then I burst into tears again. Wait, how come? So Lena likes me. And you? What about you? Trying to convince me it's all wrong while holding his hand. What, so Alyssa likes me too? Really? What a complete shock. Jesus. Anyway, come on. Alyssa actually likes someone? This can't be happening. It's just it was dark over here, and that's so much like you. Ever so arrogant, always trying to control the others, but when it comes to yourself. Lisa didn't answer. I really felt like I had to say something to defuse the situation. Hey wait, perhaps we just got it all wrong. Aye. It has nothing to do with you. Lisa's voice was oddly estranged. Judging by the conversation, it's exactly about me. Yes it is. Ask what does she think of you, and why she told me not to run after you. I don't think Lena was actually running after me. I'm telling you once again, we heard enough of your story already. Oh, there you go, just fading away. Lena shot up and ran away into the darkness. I stood now to the spot, not sure what to do next. If I follow Lena now, what should I say when I find her? Or would I say when I find her? After all, I don't even understand what this is all about. Well, obviously, they both like Semyon, and they're just bitching at each other, I suppose, but anyway. My dumbness and silly consolation attempts would only upset her more. Guess we'd better let her stay on her own for some time. That didn't sound very confident. Whatever. Without any further sound, Elisa headed to the boat. The whole way across the river to the boat station was a hell of a ride. I had to stop every 10 to 20 meters to take a break. Lisa was staring at the river and didn't pay any attention to me. Well, it seems to be the first situation here in the camp that is completely beyond my comprehension. Not to say that ultimately it was just a trivial everyday situation. I wasn't that confused even during the all-night expedition to the old camp. After all, if we have a close look, there isn't anything strange at all. And is a very shy, perhaps even enclosed person, yet she's human and can't completely avoid surrounding developments. Considering that, her reaction fits into the situation quite well. Even if I don't get the source of the quarrel, it's clear as day that girls would not behave like that if they hadn't a valid reason. As the things were standing, I was that reason. That is exactly the most strange part of the situation. Hey, I'm sorry if it went that way. I'm sorry it went that way. Only if I wouldn't have overheard your conversation. Seems like I got a pathological need to excuse myself. That is not your fault at all, she said absent-minded. It's just that you appeared in the right place at the right time, and started a mechanism that stood still for a long time. A mechanism, eh? This is Dwarf Fortress. But anyway, don't quite get it. No, he just doesn't. Anyway, of course you don't. Actually shouldn't right now. You'll get it later. She cast an intense glare at me. Damn it. Why does it always happen to me? Both school and college troubles seem to have chosen me as their primary targets. Someone blocked the classroom's door with... what? Anyway, someone blocked the classroom's door with a mop. I got a written reproof in my mark book. There was a fight, all things considered, I must have been the instigator. Failed an exam? Well, of course that's my fault, and the teacher who hates me has nothing to do with it. Even my parents ever seem to prefer blaming me than a set of unfavourable circumstances, third parties' involvement, or decree of providence. At some point I even started to believe that I somehow do attract troubles. Remember Murphy's Law? In my case it was like, if something nasty is going to happen, it's going to happen to me. For that reason I always tried to stay out of any trouble where I would become a whipping boy. Where I could become a whipping boy. Well, judging by this day, I'm not really too good at it. Seems like if you got an aura of some sort, you do attract attention. Surprised, I looked at Elisa. She was smiling. Looks like she can read my mind. Troubles mostly. Who knows? Who knows? She said dreamily and stared at the river. What a wonderful night, isn't it? Just like the other ones, if you ask me. I felt used up. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Just an ordinary night, nothing special. Best moments to make our most admirable camp leader really happy. She has to know that her most favourite pioneer is a nasty pervert who enjoys peeking at naked girls. Not bad. Something cracked inside of me again. You aren't serious, are you? Why? Of course I'm serious. Misspelled course. She didn't look like she was joking at all. Well, suit yourself, but don't you think it's not the best time to do that now? Aren't you supposed to row? Realize that our boat is still drifting amidst the river. Wait, do not escape my question. Let's get back to the camp. I'll have a moment to think it over. Spending the whole night in a boat wasn't something I would strive to, or rather wasn't something I would strive to do, so I had to apply myself to the paddles. Just would have gotten that bitch to row instead, but anyway. We barely made it to the boat station. I was exhausted, both because of the rowing and Elisa's intention to tell Olga Dmitrievna about the morning incident. As far as I know, our camp leader, her reaction is quite predictable. So you're actually going to visit Olga Dmitrievna now, aren't you? Why not? She gave me the most roguish smile. It's night after all. She must be sleeping already. Who knows, she may as well be awake. Come on, you do understand it was a coincidence, a mere misunderstanding triggered by Ulyana, the schemester. No, I don't. She flung her arms up and headed to the camp. I gathered all the remaining strength, sprang up and followed her. At first I considered grasping her arm, but then realized it wouldn't be such a good idea after everything that happened today. Hold on. I trudged inertly next to her. Let's talk this over. Is there anything to discuss? We silently walked alongside each other for some time. At least she walked slowly, so I had no trouble keeping pace with her, and I was thankful for it. Hey, maybe there is something I can do to convince you not to tell anything to Olga Dmitrievna. Another bet, maybe. Anyway, I'm not sure, but well, there is one thing. Teleportation. We came to the square. So what is it? Well, stop running after Lena, for instance. For God's sake, what makes her think I do run after Lena? Lena. I started losing my temper. Why should you make up such nonsense? You started that quarrel in the forest. Because of you, we had to go to that island, and here we go again. Enough is enough. I'm not running after her. Oh, here we go, glowing red eyes and everything. Elisa stood still. Bright moonshine lit up her face, showing evident signs of resentment and displeasure. Like, I don't see how you look at her. How do I look at her? Like that. Like what? You know. She shifted her gaze, but remained standing still. Hey, stop seeing everyone through your twisted imagination. You can't stop making up nonsense stories, just keep them to yourself. Do not make others suffer because of you and your stories. I don't care if you pick on me, but now you got Lena involved. I really lost my temper for good, but Elisa didn't answer. We sunk into unexpected silence that was only interrupted by Elisa's sparse sobs. Bad to worse, now you are crying. Have you all gone mad here? I clasped my hands in despair. I could understand why Lena was crying. But seeing Alyssa crying is something unthinkable, to say the least. Can't even see her reasoning. Really? Anyway, any other time I would definitely be shocked, but at that moment I was too tired for that. My head was absolutely void. Yeah, it certainly was void, I'll give them that. To be precise, it was too heavy and full so that even a single idea wouldn't have a chance to dwell there. If I would compare my brain at its prime time to a broad highway full of speeders, blah blah blah, yeah, whatever. So, I get it, he's confuzzled. Anyway, Elisa kept silent until she stopped crying. If you take it so seriously, go ahead and tell everything to Olga Dimitrievna. Hope you'll get relieved. Okay, I won't do that, she said quietly and turned to me. Tears were all gone, but her face seemed to express absolute world sorrow. Just feeling hurt. What hurts you? And for YouTube people, I'll segment the video off, and I shall see you all in the next video.